Hello and welcome to our property podcast brought to you by Southland Regional and Property X. Today we are looking at illegal communal land transactions, commonly referred to as Sabhuku deals. We're also looking at urban demolitions and the due diligence that's required before purchasing and developing land. In the past few months, we have watched heartbreaking images of demolitions in Kuwadzana, in Belvedere, in Epworth, and other urban areas. Hard earned cash and savings being reduced to rubble, to absolute rubble in a matter of minutes. The question is, how did we get here? And how are hard-working citizens getting scammed? What is happening and what should be done? Joining us for the conversations are gentlemen who can actually respond and answer, some of these questions that we have. Help me welcome Success, the managing director of Southland Regional. Success Kamjoma.
Hi, Vikendi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Great.
Also joining us is Arthur Basera, head of operations and construction. Hi, Arthur.
Hi, Vikandi. Thank you.
And to complete the circle, we also have Kudzim Pofu. He is the head of professional services, engineering, town planning, and project management. Gentlemen, hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Wonderful. So to start, maybe tikatotangane the definition. When we're saying Sabhuku deals, what does that mean?
Okay, so when we talk about Sabhuku deals, we're talking of the parceling and thereof sale of communal land in an illegal manner. So to start with, communal land is not up for sale. So obviously our traditional leaders now, some of them, not all of them, they have now been engaged in the parceling and selling of communal land, which then becomes an illegal transaction. So basically I would say Sabhuku deals is just the selling of communal land, and communal land is not for sale.
Communal land is not for sale. I guess this is so confusing for others who have actually then, purchased this land, but it's not up for sale. What does the Constitution say?
So basically I think communal land is governed by various statutes. To begin with, I would say the communal land viable to say is the Communal Land Act, which really stipulates on how land can be allocated to the villagers. So basically, the statutory framework is such that communal land is not up for sale. You can only have the rights to occupy and the rights to use. You cannot transact communal land, since communal land is vested in the president, and communal land, it cannot be owned individually. So when you want to occupy communal land, you just need to be allocated the rights to use and the rights to occupy.
Okay. I guess I'll also give it up to you gentlemen. If someone can then take it, maybe in layman's language.
Okay.
What are we saying?
Okay, in layman's language, I would say Sabhuku deals, we are saying it's the illegal side of transacting in land. You see someone selling land that is communal, that they don't have a title deed on, that they don't own, because every land, the ownership framework is such that either there is a title deed, a parent title deed, or it's owned by the state. That's how it's owned. And you see a Sabhuku or headman, whosoever it is there, selling, taking a piece of it and say, for you to stay here, pay $500. That's illegal, because state land, you're meant to be allocated, and there's a process to be allocated. I think tese tinobva kumusha,
Yeah.
kumusha titori nemusha wedu, and we don't have deeds for that. Right? We don't own that land. We cannot go to a bank and say, use this as my security. You just occupy and use, because it belongs to the state. So in simple words is, no one has the right yekunditengesera musha. In other words, kana kuri kumusha, it's communal land, and there is no one who has that right yekunditengesera kumusha over what you now own this piece of land. I'm allocated through a process to follow, involve the village head, the council, then there's an allocation process and the community at large. So vanotoungana vanhu vobvuma kuti tiri kuda kuti munhu ajoine musha wedu.
Okay.
That's why muchiona kuti kune vanorambwa mumisha kunzi ava hatichavadi, vekwanhingi vaya vanobata hatichavadi. That's how the communal land is allocated.
Very interesting success, that you then mentioned that, because my 500 deals on they have been happening, hey.
Yeah.
Kuti munhu atonzwa kuti kune land kwakati kuri kutengeswa, like a communal land,
Yeah.
and they kutotengeka pamwe 1,000 deals or 2,000, and you're saying kuti it cannot be accounted for anywhere. Would you want to come in, Arthur?
Yeah, it's just, in my opinion, we're not going to take advantage of the desperation that exists now. And this is prevalent mostly in peri-urban areas, like Nana, Chitungwiza, maybe areas like Mondoro. I think there's evidence of it also Nana Goromonzi. It's just the state of affairs. It's expensive now for people to buy developed land within the urban areas. So the next best option is to just go peri-urban. And the people that are selling Sabhuku's headmen sense that opportunity, obviously, because the process of allocation, they are meant to be a part of it. But they don't then conscientize people. The actual process is this. There must be a village meeting called in. There must be councillors and all that. So because they are only privy to that information, they take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And then the unsuspecting individual, but I can't stand developed. So they fall prey. And a lot of them know that this is a risky transaction, but it's the desperation. But one of the when it comes time to demolition. Yes. So people kind of just they comfort themselves when the law has to take its course, and this is what is prevalent.
What is the role of the rural district council? There's an act as well. Yeah, what does it stipulate?
So basically, the RDC Act is there to govern the operations of the rural district council. So regarding communal land and Automarua aid, the RDC is the administrative authority of a certain area or a certain district. Mm-hmm. So it's the administrative wing of the government, where these are the ones who need to then be administering on how communal land should be parceled or should be allocated. So the role of the RDC now, like I think, is alluding to the fact that success is raised. There is a process in allocating communal land. So what starts is then now, if there's anyone, be it a villager, Mugari Mumusha,
okay,
or in some cases and instances, there might be somebody who's moving from another district. The first thing they need to approach the RDC. I'm trying to explain to get to the point you asked about the role of the RDC.
So if you want to pursue this route,
yes,
first the headman.
Yes, first the headman. You engage the headman. Then the headman will then take this to the councillor. The councillor is the one who represents the people in the council. So you then present your list of people, of villagers. They then go to the headman. Then the headman
also known as the Sabhuku.
Yes.
Yes.
Also known as the Sabhuku.
Yeah. I don't forget headman as Sabhuku.
Yeah. So there is a village head and there is a headman.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will just say Sabhuku, right, to put it in simple terms. So they will then now need to approach the Sabhuku. The Sabhuku will seek the blessings of the chief. They then submit that list to the councillor. The councillor will then present the issues before the council in their council meeting to say that there are some people, there are some villagers who want to be allocated land. So it is then the role of the council to then sit and deliberate through the councils. Then they will call up what we call a village assembly, where there will be the villagers, everybody within the community can come, and also those who intend to be allocated land. And that village assembly, people will be there those who want to be allocated will be presented in front of everyone. Then after that, it will be minuted and it gets back to the RDC, where a resolution will be passed to say these people, they need land to be allocated to them. Then the RDC will then appoint a representative, a technical person who go on the ground, and then they peg the particular property and allocate to the respective people. So basically, the RDC is there to administer communal land and to have an oversight, of everything that happens within the communal land.
And in all this, I've not heard you mention the amounts.
No, there is no.
How
There is no
much
amount.
is it?
Okay. Okay. Basically, there is no amount that one is to pay to the for purchasing in communal land.
It's free of charge.
It's free of charge. I know
Yes.
you're watching and
It's
you're
free of
wondering
charge.
because there are people who have actually, purchased land, and some of them have actually built, structures and houses. Peri-urban. So the question is, what now? How do we then correct this?
So it's now a challenge because already it's a mistake that is already happened. That people have been duped of their hard-earned money through this rampancy of criminal land. So I'll give an example of one RTC which is close to unfortunately, people, they had to buy land. Eventually, the RDC had to then come back and do the replanning and the repegging. And to tell you, those people were even over and above the money that they had used to purchase. They were made to pay penalty fee through the RDC Act. They were penalized for occupying land without proper procedures. So it's really difficult for the people. Then the only way it can be then be corrected now, I think it is then maybe the RDC coming in and try to maybe reallocate and regularize those settlements.
Okay. Maybe you'd also want to come in, Success and Arthur. Just a word of advice for our viewers, because these are real burning issues. Vanhu vada kutenga land, vanhu vari kuda panotengeka. But as you said, Kuti, these are scams. There are no deals called Sabhuku deals. They are illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you want to buy, we understand the fact that land and owning a piece of property is a priority to every household. But at the end of the day, you just need to follow the law and to understand what the law says. And this is what the law says. If you are going to own communal land, you are not owning it. You occupy. You don't own communal land. And the government has made it clear communal land is not for sale and it's owned by the state. And what you can only do is to follow the proper processes. Approach the headman, make sure the headman goes to council, then there is an assembly as goods highlighted, then people, you are presented among the people, then you are accepted, then there comes a resolution. Then you are also shown pegs when the technical person from council comes to say, this is your property. It has followed the corrective process. And if it has followed the corrective process now, where we are, it means you no longer have the risk of demolition. It's minimized. It's because now if the government wants to repossess that land for any other use, maybe like mining, they want to put a dam, there is proper movement. Unotomove zvakanaka kutonzi nota kukubvisai apa tokuendesai apa. There is now a proper process that is followed. So but now what's happening right now, you see, because I want to build, which is the bigger issue in town. Everyone wants to build. I don't want to pay rent. Rent is expensive. I don't want to have a landlord. My landlord. So the pressure is, if I get someone saying I'm selling a stand for 1,000, I quickly run and buy. Then I don't even have the time to check whether the process has been followed. And the only copy you get, normally people believe that an agreement of sale is a legal document.
Yeah.
An agreement of sale is only legal to the extent of the transaction being legal. In other words, we are saying An agreement of sale cannot be a legal document when the transaction is illegal. That's the law. So you can it's like,
So it doesn't mean anything if
It
the
doesn't
transaction
mean
itself
you have
is
done it.
illegal. You can't go and show them to say, I have an agreement of
No.
sale.
No, you have participated in an illegal activity. It's like you have an agreement with someone to say, go and steal something for me, then tikaba tineshe. We are going to share the spoils 50-50. That agreement in the courts of law is invalid because it is illegal to the main framework of the law, because the law actually follows a stipulated procedure. We have the constitution at the helm of the law. We have acts of parliaments. We have statutory instruments coming in. Then we have common law. We have customary law. Then there comes our personal contracts now that we enter contracts. So if your contract that I enter, me and Weekend, we enter an illegal contract
Eish. Yeah.
against the act, against the constitution, against the statutory instrument, that contract is invalid in the eyes of the law. So
Okay.
it doesn't mean anything, the agreement of sale. So what they get is an agreement of sale, but the transaction itself is illegal because it doesn't have the proper founding documents, or it didn't follow the proper procedure. That's the extent of its illegality. So the only part you can now claim if someone sells state land to you is now the fraud part, perhaps.
Yes.
Now you are following to say, but you have lost the property. You're not saying, but you lied to me, you misrepresented
Yeah.
facts.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what you can claim to that extent. But
Yeah.
on the piece of property, you don't have any rights.
Right.
Is there a way to correct it, as I mentioned earlier, for those who already have built, to maybe then go through that process again of approaching the headman and starting from, from that to the RDC to just the different processes?
I think maybe Kudzi is best placed to.
I think, like I said, just because the transaction itself was illegal, is success to say. Correcting it obviously will be then to approach the RDC, the respective RDC, and present your issues. But from my understanding, the only way now is then the RDC, maybe they would need to deliberate and see and decide on the best way they can then reallocate if they be need. Because the challenge is sometimes people, because they are desperate for something to stay, they will just go in and settle in a place that's not habitable. So we cannot really say that vanhu vanozokorektiwa, pavanogona kuzonzi pada pamuri apa panofanira kunge pakareservwa kwemine or pakareservwa rural school.
Ko pamwe anenge achekerwa tomboti mumusha nditi zvatautaura kuti munhu anenge aine land yake hombe mumusha imomo, pamwe mwana wemusha imomo, and then ochekerawo mumwe paside obva atenga.
It's still an illegal transaction because
The main reason why we have this process is for accountability and also for the records for the Arabs. So they need, because at the end of the day they need to pay a certain tax that they pay. It's just a minimum fee for administration to the RDC. So what you're saying is just like I have my stand here and I have my kid, maybe it's about 4,000 square. Then I just decide. Then I just want to parcel it into two. Then give my kid another portion. It's my property, yes, but there are proper procedures which are laid down. I need to approach the local authority. I need to do my subdivision permit. It needs to be legally pegged and legally recognized as a separate property. So even if they are villagers, even if mwana wemumusha, they have no absolute right to say because munda wangu, I just unilaterally give it to my son or my daughter or whoever it may be. But they need to follow the proper procedure to say they need to go to the council and ask for the council to then administer and help them.
I also think to add to that, I don't think parceling itself is a problem for use. I think the issue is now attempting to transfer ownership, because that ownership didn't exist in your name to begin with.
There was no ownership.
There was
Yes.
You can't own communal land.
You can't. But I don't think there's a problem with that. It's the attempt to transfer the ownership that then becomes illegal.
Kokumuti vako pakona pako. That's illegal.
Yeah, kuvaka now is you're saying tinenge tafanira because waamusha waakufanira kunge uchizvimiririra, like I saying for planning, even resource planning, that household should be recognized as a separate household. But wo mumusha pari pavanze, obviously you don't need to go to council kuti toda kuvaka imwe imba. Kana muri mumusha, but ngatiti munda umwe waakutopiwa mwana akunzi akuzvimirira semusha wakazvimirira.
It has to be accounted.
Kana kumunda uko it has to be accounted for. But kuti pamusha put your, maybe construct your hut ogara there's kumaruwa, that's different.
Yeah.
Yes. But kuzoti munda uyo wakushandiswa, because if you look back, way back, taitori nenzvimbo dzainzi uku ndo kune dzimba, wotonzi ane musha wake une mahectares akawanda so emunda uri pakati. Saka kumunda yako ukazoonekwa kwane misha yakuramba ichikuita misha ratori rimwe dunhu rakuita kanzuru isingazivi, that now becomes a problem.
Okay. So, what is the take-home message here? And also for those then who are watching and who are interested in purchasing land, kuma peri-urban areas, what is available?
Well, just my 2 cents on that is, I think there's an epidemic of knowledge or lack of it, and I don't think people put enough emphasis or make enough effort to actually understand processes. So people put themselves in harm's way because, like Success alluded to earlier, there are pressures to own a property. It's a priority of anyone. It's anyone's priority. But the problem is that people don't invest enough time to understand processes. And I think platforms such as these hopefully can maybe conscientize people out there, because it's the lack of knowledge that is the real problem. It's the lack of understanding of the law, and then the few that do know then take advantage of the masses that don't. So I would think that the encouragement out there should be that people should seek to understand processes, especially when you want to invest in an asset as valuable as land. I think it's worth taking time to really understand whether what you're purchasing is legally recognized, or whether it's actually land that is meant to be purchased to begin with. So I think that is the gap that just needs to be closed. Yeah.
The information gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and taking time, to then also research and find out how legible it is. Success for someone who then is watching, maybe they're also in the diaspora or in surrounding areas, Aruroja, here in Harare or Zimbabwe, and they're interested in purchasing peri-urban land. What is the process? Where do they start? Because I guess it's more affordable in terms of the square meters.
I will start by saying there is no purchase of peri-urban land.
There's no
They
purchase
can't
of peri.
purchase They
Yes.
can't purchase communal land. That's the takeaway. The takeaway that they should be eager to understand. You cannot purchase communal land. That's the start. Then from there, you just need to follow the process. Approach the headman of the area you want. Make sure they follow the process as it has been stipulated by Kudzi previously. The headman approaches, consult the chiefs through, he needs a blessing of the chief. He goes to the councillor takes the issue to the RDC. The RDC brings one technical person to the meeting where the villagers assemble, and you are presented whether you are legitimate to stay within that village. People have to accept you, because that's the process. Then there are minutes that are written of that assembly. It's taken back to RDC. Then the RDC provide paperwork and survey. Now you have pegs of where you can put your property. Then going back to the question you raised about what can be done to those who have already bought or who are already in this situation. To be honest, it's a tricky situation, and the best that can be done is to approach the RDC before they approach you. That's the best to approach, because regularization is not only to be accepted to say, yeah, you can stay. Regularization is a lot of things also involved. You need to have a sewer reticulation system, which is a paramount health issue. Right now, people, when they are settling, uh, there is no system and everyone is putting a septic tank. Perhaps that's the assumption. And if you're putting a septic tank, it's a healthy hazard if the stands are small, 300, 400 square meter,
Yes.
you can't put a septic tank. And imagine there is a septic tank there, there is a bore because there is no water. That's the fact of the matter. If it's communal area, it's a Sabhuku deal, Tangokata, Chatongo Kupata, there are no services there, so there is no water, there is no sewer. That's a healthy hazard. And the RDC, when regularizing, they look into these issues
To protect
to
you.
protect you
Okay.
and the nation at large. Because if there's an outbreak of cholera, it will move across. We have to contain the health, and the health comes first. So they need now to, that's why regularization comes at a cost. If it ever happens, it comes at a cost because there are services that are needed, especially the sewer and water. They are so important to the health of human beings. So what I can say is those who are already in this situation, they would rather go approach the RDC and say, this went wrong. What can we do to be helped? I'm sure they will find, and they will find a
They'll
solution.
find a way.
They will find a solution. Yeah.
Success, Arthur and Kudzi. Thank you so much for your time. We'll continue with this conversation again. It is the Property Podcast right here, brought to you by Southland Regional and Property X.